Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to present to you the release notes of IT's Beas Manufacturing 2021.03. We're going to start out with the highlights and then outline the new features and improvements of the fresh release. Stay with me and get familiar with all that the new release has to offer. The control of terminal licenses has been greatly improved with the precise status information, a management of user concurrency and automatic release of terminal licenses, and so on. In MRP, it is now possible to calculate item versions of an item. We have improved the work order refresh function, renewed the look and feel of the APS Gantt viewer with a new color palette, and carried out a number of improvements in Prodomax WMS integration. There's a new screen to assign licenses and receive a clear overview of the number of all licenses, available ones and ones currently in use. The license definition has remained the same, but now you can see all active connections and user information. The connection button in the license administration window opens a window to list all active connections. Here you can access information on which terminal is being used by which user or station or session and disconnect them manually. For customers who want to secure always available concurrency licenses for a certain workstation or key user, now it is possible to reserve a license for a station, user, or personnel. When a user accesses the terminal, the system will check if there is a license assigned to it and will use it. The license will remain exclusive for workstation or user, but if the user accesses it again at the same time from another device, this will be discounted from another available license. The system always displays all apps defined for the current employee at the authorization group, but if no license is available, the system displays the button in gray with a tooltip, "No license is available." If the user clicks on it, they can see a message with "No license is available." Please take this important note. Every time that a user connection takes one license, even if the same user opens several connections from different devices at the same time, each of them will be a license in use. In the web apps, the user must choose Logout in the browser instead of closing it, otherwise it can take several minutes before the license is free for another user. For a complete description of all license administration, assignation and concurrence of sessions, and many more details, please visit our documentation and check our article for frequently asked questions and answers in the BOIM Help Center. Customers who have version-controlled items can now calculate the MRP considering the versions and the available stock of the version. Each version should be treated as an individual item, and this only applies to items managed as batches or serials because stock by version can be calculated only in this way. We have added a column named version in the top of the order recommendation. If an item is marked as control version but is now managed by batches or serials, for all customers, this will be calculated as one line, as standard calculation. The documents that have an empty version field will take the default one. Now it is possible to automatically assign production line at the work order creation in the pick list for production window. During the position creation, manually using the window, if the item or the warehouse are changed, the production line is also updated automatically. To define a production line at the position, at the work order creation, the system checks if there is a production line in the warehouse rule. Otherwise, the system checks the default production line or warehouse level. In the pick list for production window, if the material is related to an operation, line will check if the resource has a production line, otherwise it applies the position production line. In the pick list for production window, now the protocol information is available. In the receipt process, the system shows all pallets of the selected bin location. Please note that this process is only for WMS warehouses. Bin location is sorted by bin and batch number. The transfer window applies the same rules for the source target dropdowns as for the issue receipt windows. Now it is possible to see the SSCC in the web apps when you're working in a WMS warehouse. Additionally, it is possible to search by the SSCC in the search window. Once a batch or serial with SSCC is selected, we show this information also together with the batch as a subtitle for the caption. Please note the selection of a non-batch serial item located in an SSCC, WMS warehouse only, are not supported yet and will be added in the next releases. Now the system always displays the LUID and not the RFID in WMS integration, and now the SSCC column is available. Please note, the SSCC field is not visible by default. you can make it visible by Windows settings. From this version on, we'll be publishing a complete information package of Beas WMS integration. This documentation will contain up-to-date information from both sides and will be updated upon each software release of the two products. You can access the documentation from the Beas help page or directly on the following link. We have improved the work order refresh function. Now a new function allows to deactivate the refresh process, add limitations to the process, and other validations that can be set by customers. The refresh work order will now be called structure refresh. With this new version, we deliver a new look and feel of the APS Gantt viewer. This graphical visualization of the APS results delivers bigger font sizes, bar sizes, and objects compared to the old variant, new color codes, and enhanced readability. Entire information, for example of a resource, is at hand without having to zoom in or out, and space and standard minimum width between each small element are increased. If you wish to work with the old style, you can always switch it back in the APS scheduling view settings. Windows has suspended the support of CHM files. For this reason, no new CHM file for our documentation is available. Now we are using an e-reader application to view the documentation. Download the viewer and the documentation from help.beascloud.com. Define local help file in the configuration wizard and choose the directory in which the viewer is stored. For more information, visit our activity log and documentation. Beas is increasing the control of the terminal license to align with the correct terminal license definition. In the previous releases, the licensing check system did not verify correctly the running terminals against the licenses sales model in place for Beas for more than 10 years. Terminal licenses are managed by concurrence of users. It is recommended that web apps users log out since it frees the license for another user to use it, instead of just closing the browser, in which case the license remains in use for a few more minutes. It is recommended that shop floor terminals have terminal licenses assigned by workstation, thus ensuring the availability of licenses in these terminals. For question and answer about terminal license, please see our article in the following link. Make sure to assign only the apps that the user really uses for each personnel in the authorization group, because for every login, all terminal licenses related to the user's authorization will remain in use during this session. Please consider when a concurrent license is not available, it will be displayed as gray when the user logs in. Before, this was not visible. In Work Order Refresh, the Work Order button will be displayed by default. If the customer uses this functionality, it can be activated in the configuration wizard. This concludes our video on the new features, existing feature and system improvements and fixes of Boeing IT's Beas Manufacturing 2021.03. We encourage you to upgrade to this latest version of our solution and to keep in touch concerning any questions you might have. Please visit our community on the link below and stay tuned for our upcoming videos.